In today's video, we're going to discuss 5 things I wish I knew before starting the new DLC in Rimworld Odyssey. This DLC is awesome. You are able to build your own movable base or a spaceship, land on different parts of the planet. It really expands the game's biomes, animals. You can find creatures you can fight, events that take place. But the whole core is your ship. And there are some nuances to the DLC and tips and tricks I think that'll help you. First, let's discuss the nomad lifestyle. If you pick the scenario starting out, the grab ship scenario, they basically give you a ship and you are on the run from mechanoids chasing you. Every 2 to 3 weeks in game, there will be an alert that says they're coming and you have to up and leave your area, finding a new area. And some tips for this would be, get used to the nomad lifestyle. Basically, you are going to be landing on new planets, setting up shop, building temporary structures, and growing crops. Also, unpacking your ship. You know, right now, the shelves are the best friend you have because you have limited space to store things. So the shelves are definitely very useful. By temporary structures, I mean things like a butcher house, a stockpile zone that creatures will be dropped off at for you to butcher, other various zones. You want to be mining quite a bit. Tremendous amounts of hunting are going to be taking place. You want to be gathering food, materials, whether it's health plants like medicine, berry bushes, hunting all the wildlife you can find. This is hugely important to keep your stockpiles full. On your ship, you're going to want a refrigerated zone or freezer to store your food, to keep you going. Also going to want a biofuel refinery to keep your biofuel generators going, because early on you can't get power from your ship. You need biofuel or wood generators until you get things like solar. There's also a means to get power from your engine, but that's end game research. Another thing you're going to want to do is build defenses temporarily. Every time you land, we just landed on this planet pretty much, or this area of the planet. You're going to want to build some barricades, some defense structures. The enemies tend to come from this way, so we're going to build a little barricade thing there. Also, if they come from the north, you could build another, barricade structure here. That's what I would do. If they come from the east, we'll build a barricade here. And then, when the enemy comes, we just set up shop in a firing line and we defend. Again, you're keeping this temporary until you build a gravity anchor, which would be under the Architect Odyssey. These grav anchors are pretty expensive. They make it where you could save the map that you're on right now, basically, when you take off and fly away, and you'll be able to come back. That's if you want to set up a base to come back to, and this DLC makes that very, very doable and fun. You can even build asteroid bases up in space. Those were 2 tips in one. The hunting, the food, the storage, definitely do that. Another tip I want to give you guys is quest timers. You're only on this area of the planet briefly, okay? You're not going to be here for more than 2 to 3 weeks. If you get a quest, that says hold these refugees for 10 days, then we'll come pick them up and you'll get your reward. Well, if you're leaving in 8 days and you can't complete that quest, don't bother taking the quest. It'll just fail. The refugees won't fly with you. The quests are really for this location for the most part. When you get those temporary quests, housing a royal person, keeping refugees safe. Can people come here for 2 weeks and hang out and work for you? That won't work if you are leaving before the timer runs out. So don't take those quests. Definitely not worth it. For your base, not worth it. Another very important tip is you need to manage moods more than ever. Rimworld has always been about that, managing moods. But when you're on a very small ship, until you can expand it to make it better, you really need to take advantage of mood modifiers. Whether it's using drugs or beer on a schedule to keep people's moods better, using your ideology or religions and parties to keep people happy, cooking fine meals or lavish meals when you have surplus of food is definitely worth it to keep people happy. Also, look out for recreational tools. Here is a telescope I bought for about 500 silver from a trader, an exotic trader. The more recreational things you have, the better. So this telescope helps, obviously the chess. If you could build a poker room or a pool table, every time you land you could build a little temporary wooden house, put a pool table in there or a poker table. Because you're not going to have room for that all the time on your ship. Take advantage of that nomad lifestyle by building temporary structures. And then before you leave, you can always uninstall this research table. If you don't want to build another butcher table, uninstall it, take it with you. Then you can just reinstall it when you land on the new area. If you're able to buy other recreational things like televisions, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff too, always consider if you have extra resources to buy these things. It'll just help with the moods. All these little things will add up. Finally, be careful of who you invite to your colony/spaceship. Obviously, people are going to help get jobs done. But look, we have an ideology of one religion, for example, the core group of my people, I think is Neo-Methodist or Post-Methodist. Just a religion in this game, the ideology. I did one of the lower impact ideologies from the start. They like having slaves. They like their religion. They have different values than this colonist that just joined, Sally. She is a whole different religion. The manly way. She doesn't like being uncovered. She likes wearing burqas. She doesn't like having slaves. She is definitely the opposite religion of whatever religion my colonists are. So slowly but surely you kind of indoctrinate her. You get her to stop liking her religion to make her join yours and be more cohesive with the group. But until then, there are some ideological differences, and it's causing her quite some stress. She doesn't like the Xenos that are part of my company. This guy's like a pig person, almost like Porco Rosso. She doesn't like the slaves in the colony, and she doesn't like being led by a post-Methodist. Pretty much she does not like the religion of my colonists. Now, if I knew that before inviting her in, it would have been different. I probably would not have invited her. But we're going to stay with it. We are going to get her into our religion. Until then, we're going to use these smoke leaf joints to keep her calm. We are growing hops, and we just learned brewing, so we're going to make beer. That'll keep her calm eventually. But until then, it's going to be very interesting. These things you need to consider when inviting people to your ship, because you're not on a big sprawled out base. We can't keep her room way over here and load her up with beautiful statues in a room and give her her own private quarters. Right now, she is sleeping in the storage room that's also a hospital. So in the meantime, to make her a little bit happier, we are going to build her own little house on the prairie over here. We'll give her a big building, a big room. This will make her happy, just to keep her a little buttered up and happy while we are waiting for her religion to convert over. With these details, she could have a psychotic episode, a break. And that's really all the tips I had starting out. I'll do another video if you guys like this video of more things I learn on the way. The final thing I could think about is when you're flying, in the beginning you have a very short distance that you could fly. Is this our base here? Yeah. The flying locust is my ship. So let's pretend that you could just go, this is your distance you could travel per jump. Every time you move, you can move whenever you want. But after you fly, you're going to have a situation where you have to wait a few days, whether it's your engines that need to cool down and repair, your crew getting sick or nauseous from the travel. Eventually you get more thrusters and your radius gets bigger and bigger. We started out way down here in the jungle, okay? And I've been working my way this way north because if you go to orbit here, view orbit, see? You can go to things in space. There's satellites. There's asteroids. I have been making my way closer and closer to this asteroid because you need to harvest special materials on the asteroid in order to expand your ship's blueprint. So that's why we've been working our way towards that. As you're working your way towards that, you want to research specific things. Machining is hugely important. You'll need to be able to build the platforms. It's called grav light panels. You start out with basic grav tech, but you're going to want to get standard grav tech, okay? This gives you the high-tech research bench. You're going to need that. Large chem fuel and large thrusters to make you go farther. But ultimately, you're going to want advanced grav tech. With this, you'll be able to make grav light panels to expand the flooring of your ship. With one grav core engine, this is how big your ship can be. But even right now, I need more panels to make it bigger, make more room. So, what you could do in the meanwhile is you could find chunks of spaceships. Now they'll give you some grav panels. I don't see any around here. But you're looking mainly for the spaceship pieces. And you'll find those quite a bit on these asteroids up in space. And in the meanwhile, you're going to want to harvest the asteroids to get the stuff to make it in the meanwhile. But that's all I could think about now. Let me know in the comments if this has been helpful. How are you liking the DLC? Do you have any tips and tricks you could comment for other players? It'll help out. We put comments down there. And let me know what you think about the video and the game. I'm loving this DLC. It's cool to be able to move your base around. Let me know what you think down below. And thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your day.